Hey y'all. Hey. See who hops on in the middle of a Saturday, New Year's Eve. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? When you hop on, let me know where you're watching from. I wanted to share some time with you before we enter into the new year. So let me know where you're watching from and when you come on. I wanted to be sensitive to some of the emails that I've been receiving and give you all some encouragement before we go into the new year. So let me know where you're watching from as we wait for some more people to come on. Happy New Year's Eve. Hey, Sabrina from Chicago. Can you like the video? Y'all, hey from Kenya. Thanks for joining. Thanks for tuning in. Y'all like this video so we could get it started in the algorithm. I wanted to just chat with you all, not necessarily give you a teaching like I usually do, but chat and be sensitive to some of the emails that I've been receiving from so many people during this season. I understand that I always like give encouragement and future forward looking advice, but I want to today I want to locate myself with you all. I want to be in the midst, be in the mix, be in your current situations, right? And so I know how important that is. So I decided to take some time out of my weekend to chat with you before we go into the new year. Let's see. Hey, Crystal from Tennessee. Hey from Deneen from Georgia. Hey Latifa from Phoenix, Ohio. Hey Georgie. Hey Tabitha from Chicago. Hey Tiffany from North Carolina. Hey y'all. Hey. Can y'all like this video for me? Please. As I said, if you're just hopping on, I just wanted to come on and talk about perseverance right now. I realize that this is a difficult season for a lot of people. And it has been historically a difficult season for me. And so I want to not just give you forward-looking things, but also give you tips and tools that'll help you navigate the now, right? Navigate through the now. So before we hop on in, y'all, let me say, today is the last day of the Let There Be challenge. And thank you for everyone who hopped on in. Like, thank you for sharing your testimonies. They're still coming in. I need to screenshot the messages and post them. But congratulations, everyone who did the 40-day Let There Be challenge. Congratulations, you made it to the other side. And I know the enemy was trying to knock some of y'all heads off. I got the emails, I got the DMs about it, but you kept going, and that is worth a lot, right? That is worth so much. And so I want to tell you congratulations. God is going to do, it's going to blow your mind because you persevered. Also, if y'all did not see the video that I dropped this morning about what God was showing me about 2023, y'all know I said it's your Jordan year, and his number was 23. You're gonna want to check out that short video. It should be under morning encouragement if you're looking under playlist, but it's the last video I uploaded. All right, y'all. So let's talk about persevering through difficult seasons. I receive a lot of emails about people going through hardship, right? And it's just not the holiday season that causes people to go through hardship, but it's life. Life be life, and life is not necessarily easy to navigate. And when the cares of life start to overtake us and we find ourselves in the middle of situations that we didn't necessarily anticipate, the toll can be very difficult, right? Let me know in the chat if you found yourself in a season where you were shocked and it shocked you and it hurt your feelings and you wanted to give up and you didn't know, which way to go. Let me know in the chat if you've ever been there, because this message is for you. Also, let me know if you're there right now, because this message and this conversation is for you. Right? We've all gone through these seasons where our faith has been rocked, where our decidedness has been rocked. And, we go through these times more times than not. And I'm so grateful for everyone who has, really just emailed me and told me about it. I am a complete stranger to you all, but I always pray for you. I always ask God to intervene on your behalf. You have an intercessor in me, and I hope I have an intercessor in you. All right, so let me tell you a bit of my last 15 months. I know I said this in bits in some of the teachings that I've done, but y'all, the last 15 months, I literally obeyed my way into a storm. And what I mean by that is God told me to do something. I did it. I expected favorable results, and the results were not favorable. In fact, the results were disastrous. The results were so bad that it rocked my life for 15 months, you all. And at the time, I couldn't understand it because I was so clear. Like, I know when I hear from the Lord, right? I know when he's telling me to do something and when he's not doing something. And so when he told me to do this thing and I did it, and there was like this negative backlash as a result, I was shocked to find myself in a storm. It was, because even though I know that, we can obey God into a storm, my human mind at the time could not necessarily fathom you just obeyed your way into a storm. I didn't want to be there. You know what I mean? Like, I am someone who teaches and advocates for obedience to God always, no matter what, no matter how it makes you feel. That's me. But sometimes we can and obey our way into suffering, and it still brings glory to God, right? That seems counterintuitive, but it's really the truth. Obedience to God is not always taking the high road. It's not always, going to give you the feel good sensation. Sometimes obeying God will lead you into a season of blindness, a season of obscurity, a wilderness season, things of that nature. So, I don't want to misrepresent the gospel and misrepresent the faith to say every time you follow God is going to work out. No, it's not. Sometimes you're going to suffer, and it's going to be to the glory of the Lord, and he's not going to get you out of that season. And for me, this was 2021, coming to the end of 2021. I was probably 4 months into this spiral, if I can say that, right? I was struggling emotionally. I was struggling in my faith. I was struggling with my mind. This time last year, even doing the challenge with myself, right? Last year, before it became this thing this year, that's where I was, and I was decreeing and declaring, but I was still suffering. And I hoped that with the beginning of a new year, that would mean the season is over, but that wasn't true, right? Just because we're going into a new year tomorrow does not mean that the current season is going to be over for you. And I want to be so sober-minded and say that to you, because I don't want you to get false hope. Sometimes your season will be over with the start of a new year, but sometimes that season will persist until God lets you out of it. And that's what happened to me last year. I was like, okay, 2022 is going to be this wonderful year, and it's going to be all these things. And it wasn't. It was a very prosperous year. Now that I'm at the last day of it, but it was the most difficult year of my life. Since probably 2013. Okay, so one of the most difficult years of my life since 2013, and that doesn't mean that I didn't have hardship in between. It just means that a consistent year was hard for me, right? And so I went into 2022. I was full of hope. I was full of all of the things, hoping that all of the prophetic words were going to be for me, hoping that God was going to bring forth all of the things that he said he was going to end this season of suffering, and he didn't. Now, he was continuing to bless me in the suffering, but I still felt the pain of it. I still cried. I still, was just feeling low, right? Heaviness. I was struggling. And I went through a year of that. So this is a year and a half. And in a vein of transparency, I was still going through it when I started the Let There Be challenge, y'all. I was coming to an end of it, right? I still sensed the remnants of it. But it didn't end until last week. It did not end until last week. And y'all saw me show up every Tuesday teach. You saw me put out the Kingdom series every week, right? Still in this heartbreak, still in this season of blindness, still unsure, but I was still doing what God told me to do. And so when I get the emails from people, and you're more than welcome to email me, um, I can empathize with that. I can sympathize with that, and I understand where you're coming from. And so I just thought that I should hop on in here and give you 6 things that helped me persevere through my difficult season. And hopefully it'll help you persevere if you're in a difficult season, or even if you're not. Sometimes we're not in a season, but we're headed to one, right? And that is scary within itself. But generally in those seasons, it is God training us for the next. It is God preparing us. It's him, doing the heart surgery that he has to do in order to get us to the desired end. So take notes if you're not, or just listen and replay this back when you feel like you need encouragement. So the first thing that I had to do to help me get through the difficult season was to be honest. I had to be honest about my feelings. And as someone who, moves through life very quickly and moves through things relatively quickly, it was really tough for me to say, now I have to sit in this emotion. Now I have to sit in this feeling. I can't achieve my way out of it. I can't pray it away. I can't, go have fun with my friends. I can't travel it away. Like, I literally had to be honest and say, this is where I am. And that wasn't honest with me. I had to be honest with myself first, because sometimes we can lie to ourselves, right? It's one thing to lie to other people. It's another thing when we lie to us, when we try to tell us, oh, I'm straight, I'm gonna be fine. You're not okay. You're not okay, right? And I had to be honest that I wasn't okay. I wasn't okay for a year and a half. But I still had to, but the world kept moving, right? And so I couldn't stop. I couldn't stay. I had to keep moving through it. So I think that was one of the hardest things for me to do, is be honest with myself, to say, I hate it in this season. This is a tough thing for me. I don't understand how I got here. I don't understand why I'm here right now. I did what I felt was the right thing to do. I had to be honest with me. I had to be honest and say, there's no way for me to get out of this season. That's hard. That's a hard thing to do, right? But your honesty will allow you you have to build this foundation for you to walk out of the season on honesty. You cannot build it on a lie. A lie will always crumble every time. You have to be honest and tell yourself, you're not okay. That's okay. That's okay. You will be okay. But in this moment, today, if that's how you're feeling, you're not okay. And you need to, and it's okay to admit that. Okay. The second thing that I had to do was I had to lean into my community, which was my family and my friends. This, as I mentioned in the last live, was another hard thing for me to do, because I had built so much of my life on being the strong friend. I had been the one who didn't need anything, didn't need anybody for real. I had things in order, right? Or that's how I presented myself. And when the season came, I could not fake the funk. I know they're just saying like fake it till you make it. There was no way that I could fake it. My eyes, when you looked at me, you can tell that I was sad. When my countenance was low, even though I was up and encouraging people and all the things, after that camera went off or whatever I was doing, it was back to sadness. It was back to crying, sometimes. And I had to allow my friends to see that. I had to allow my friends to see me at a low place, because they needed to, and I needed them. There was no way that I was going to be able to survive that season without support. And this is not meaning that all of my friends knew what was going on, but my core people, I had to let them see. I had to let them see me cry. I had to let them see me, vent and complain and, all of the things. I had to let them see me be human. And it shattered a lot of ideas that they may have had of me. And that's good, because because they were falsehoods. Who I presented myself to be before that season and a lot of seasons prior to then was not the real me, I don't think. It was the me who was protected. It was the me who was guarded. It was the me who was stuck in survival. And I really believe now that I'm on the other side, that God wanted to position me from survival to thriving. But it required a different level of different heart posture, but also a different level of vulnerability in order to get to the other side. And the first people I had to be honest and vulnerable with were my friends and my community, right? The people who could pray for me when I didn't feel like praying, the people who could, listen to me and not judge me and understand that I'm having this momentary experience, but also encourage me, right? There's a scripture in the Bible when, the lame man's friends lowered him into the roof where Jesus was teaching, and the man on the mat, the disabled man, got healed. Why? Because of his friend's faith. And so when I didn't have faith, I had to borrow my friend's faith. Matter of fact, I didn't even borrow. I said, y'all have faith for me, because there were moments when I'm like, I just wanted to be honest and say, I just want to stick my middle finger up and say, forget it. To be honest, to be completely honest. This is me being honest with y'all. There were times when I wanted to say, F it, right? And I think sometimes my actions did. Sometimes my actions did portray that. But, my friends were there to get me back on track because they could see clearly. Sometimes when you're hurt, when you become blinded. You become blinded. And so because they were not blinded and because I was, they could say, no, Bree, come back where the guardrail is, come back on track. I see you're veering. I see you're struggling. I see you're doing all of these things. So we need to pull you up. We need to hold you up, right? And that was, that was hard, right? Because when you're trusting the weight of who you are into your friends' hands or into other people's hands, it's difficult because you don't know if they can carry it. But in that season, the season I just left, I had to test it. I didn't have me. That's what I'm trying to say. I didn't have me, so I needed them to have me in ways that I had them in their backs when their backs were up against the wall, right? So, I had to be honest, and I had to admit when I wasn't okay, and I had to, let them see me cry, and I had to let them hear me be mad at God because I was very angry with God. I mean, angry, y'all. I mean, when I tell you I was angry, sometimes I would wake up, and you know how sometimes when you're waking up, you'll hear a song in your spirit. I would say, I don't want to hear it. Like immediately, when I start hearing the comforter trying to comfort me, no, don't comfort me. I don't want to talk. I ain't got nothing to say. And he kept pursuing me. And I'm grateful for that. And so I had to lean into my community, but I also had to be in therapy, you all. Therapy is tough, right? Especially if you're not, hold on for a sec. If you're not used to externalizing your feelings, therapy can be a challenge for a lot of people. I was already in therapy during this time prior to, the tough season. So I had already had a little bit of practice, but I needed somebody to listen to me who had no allegiance to me. And by allegiance, I mean that I needed for somebody to listen to this story of what I'm going through without any connection, without being jaded by our relationship or how they may feel about me. So I had to increase my therapy sessions. I went from bi-weekly to weekly because I just needed to externalize. I needed someone to talk to. And I pay, you got to pay for it, but I needed that because I needed to get out of the season. I knew that if I shut down, that used to be my defense mechanism, if I can be honest. My defense mechanism used to be shut down. Don't say nothing, lock your emotions all the way down, shut down. And that's not a healthy way of communication. And so I was already working through those communication styles and getting better at communicating. And so when this happened, I knew that I couldn't afford to revert back to shutting down and protecting myself. I needed to externalize, and I needed to I needed to get it off of me, the weight out of my heart. And it didn't necessarily help all at once. I'm gonna be honest, right? It took months of therapy and still ongoing, reflecting back on those experiences. But I needed to externalize. I couldn't afford to continue to internalize it because I would have, I think I would have spiraled. I think I would have spiraled even more than what I was already spiraling at the time. So I had to first be honest with myself. I had to let my friends hold the weight of who I was when I couldn't hold myself up. So my friends in my community. And I wanted to say that you need a community of believers around you. I'm not saying that they just have to go to church all the time and all the things of that nature, but you need believers around you that can pray for you, that can guard you. Because if I didn't have my saved friends, y'all wouldn't see me doing this, because I would probably be in the street. If I'm honest, I was gonna head to the street. If my saved friends didn't keep me focused and keep, pouring into me when I had an empty cup, Brianna was gonna be heading on out. Brianna was going to be heading on out, and that's just 100%. And then I had to increase my therapy sessions, talk to someone who was licensed, and I understand that even going to therapy is from a position of privilege. I understand that. I understand that sometimes people don't have money to go through therapy, but I do also know that there are some government funded programs that you can get some free sessions if you need it. And so I want to encourage you to seek out those government funded programs and, seek out a licensed professional if you feel like you need it. If you don't, and you feel like you and Jesus got it, more power to you. Me and Jesus didn't have it, because me and Jesus we were beefing. I was beefing. He wasn't beefing with me. I was beefing with him. Right. And so that was the thing. And then the next thing that really helped me out was my faith. Now, when I say faith, I don't mean the faith in the present season. I mean the faith that I had built up before I got into that season, right? When I got into the difficult season that I just left out of, a lot of the things that I was doing was muscle memory. So because I had already built up a routine of praying, fasting, reading my Bible, things of that nature, that was my routine. So my body was used to it. My spirit was used to it. And so I was on autopilot, but my spirit man, my muscle memory was doing all the things that it knew to do prior to that season. And so when I say faith, I can't say that I necessarily had faith in the season that I was in. I did not have faith. In fact, I was so blinded for the first time in my life because I was blindsided by the negative impact of what God told me to do. And so I didn't have faith for the season, but I had faith stored up. I had principles ingrained within me, and I had things deep within me. So when the time came when I didn't have the energy to continue with, to engage with God, or even the trust. Can we talk about that, right? Can we talk about feeling that God has betrayed your trust? That's a whole nother thing. So when I felt like that, my spirit kicked in. My humanity went on autopilot. My spirit kept encouraging me to, move forward, keep going. And there were times when I was just like, I'm not going to do it. I don't want it. This is a sham. I don't like it. Everybody else out here winning, but this is what I know, y'all. Okay. Sin, when you're sinning, when you're in sin or seeing people in sin, it always rewards people up front, right? Sin will always give you the reward first, and then you will pay the price later. With following God, generally you pay the price first, and then you get the reward later. So it's always the reverse, okay? So because I saw people out here winning who was out here living the life how they wanted to live and not doing any other things, I was like, I should probably just go ahead and live my life too, because they living and I'm up here sacrificing. I'm up here living a delayed gratification lifestyle, and it feel like it's raggedy over here. It should be the inverse, right? But I always know that there are times and seasons, right? As I said, when you're in sin and, you know, you're not following God's way, you'll get your reward on the front end, but you're going to pay the price and the interest on the back end. When you follow God, you're going to pay the price on the front end, but you're going to get your reward on the back end, right? And because I had already conditioned my life has already been a delayed gratification type of lifestyle. I'm more used to the long game than I am the short game. When things happen very quickly for me, I'm always shocked because nothing has ever happened quickly for me. So while I threatened to go to the street, while I threatened to, do what everybody else was doing, I wasn't gonna be able to handle that, y'all. Y'all probably would have saw me try to go to a club raising up holy hands. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I would have stuck out like a sore thumb. And yeah, but I say all that to say that the faith that I had exercised and the relationship that I had already built with God, it carried through, and he kept pursuing me through that season. And let me tell y'all something. When I expected God to come rescue me out of that season, he did not rescue me. You know what he kept saying? And it was the most irritating thing. He kept saying, the thing he kept saying was, trust me, keep going. Trust me, keep walking this way. Trust me, don't go back. Trust me, keep going. Like, he kept speaking, but he wasn't saying what I wanted him to say. I wanted him to say, well done. This season is over. You suffer for a little time. Now you can get your reward. No, that ain't what he said. He didn't say that to me. And I was like, don't you see me suffering? Don't you see me crying, spitting, and farting? Don't you see me trying to do the right thing? And he didn't get me out. He sent the comforter to comfort me, and that's it. I had to keep moving through it. I could not stay there. And that, I think that is something that God wants all of us to know. This thing is going to happen, but you can't stay there. You have to keep moving. And it is difficult when the wind is against you. And if you feel like it keeps pushing you back, it's not pushing you as far back as you think. Yes, there may be obstacles against you. Yes, there may be resistance. But if you keep forging ahead, eventually the wind will stop. Eventually things will work in your favor. And it felt like things would never work in my favor. I'm just going to be transparent. This is me, who was just leading a 40-day Let There Be challenge, admitting to you that I felt that things would never work, were not going to work in my favor again, right? Because I was in that season for so long. Do y'all know how hard it is to hold tension? This is anybody who works out. You know, you may work out with resistance bands. Do you know how hard it is to hold the resistance, right? To push through the resistance. That's when your muscle is growing, right? When you're tearing the muscle. In the same way, this season was for me. There was resistance. I was holding the tension in my life for a year and a half. And I was in a hard place. I felt the Lord putting boundaries that I couldn't go forward, right? I couldn't jump over this thing. There was a clear boundaries, like, you will go through this. You will go through this. And if you don't go through this now, it's going to come back around soon. So my faith, this circles back to faith, my faith that I had built up in God had carried me through when I didn't have the faith to continue myself with my own will, persevering and pursuing after him. And in that moment, when I fell short, when I couldn't keep going, my spirit was fatigued, he came in and said what I didn't want him to say, but he said something. He still came in and let me know, like, hey, no, you're here. You're still here. I'm still here. You're still moving through it. You're still in my will. You're still doing what I told you to do. I'm still going to bless you. I'm still going to do these things. And so I would have an attitude. I ain't going to lie. I'd be mad. But I knew that I didn't want to repeat it again. And this is my encouragement to anyone who finds himself in a difficult situation. If you don't go through all the way, you're going to go start over and go back through it. You might be right in the middle of the hardship, right? You might be right in the middle. If you turn back now, You're going to go back to the beginning and have to walk the process out again fully. And you'll keep rerouting until you walk the process out fully. My encouragement is to keep forging ahead with tears in your eyes, when you don't understand, right? When you feel like you've been forsaken, because I know how that feels. You have to keep going ahead. And that leads me into the next part, which is my decidedness. I decided that I wasn't going to give up on me. And honestly, y'all, I couldn't care about nobody else at the time. I was trying to worry about me being okay because I was in quicksand. I was trying to stabilize in quicksand, right? But I always know that I have a good reputation. And the reason why I have a good reputation is because I try to live an honorable life, and I believe that your word is important and a good name is important. When I give my word to someone, I keep it. No matter what. I keep my word because my word matters, right? When I give my word to myself, I keep it times 2. I keep it times 2 because when we start to break our promises and our words to ourselves, then we start to be a liar. Our subconsciously, we start to call ourselves a liar. And I don't want to be pegged as a liar to myself, right? I don't want that for me. So I had already decided, come what may, I was going to keep going through it because I didn't want to continue to feel the feeling that I felt. And while I didn't know when, the storm would end, while I didn't know, I thought it would have ended sooner than what it did, but I gave myself my word that I would not give up. I always give myself my word that I won't give up on me, right? And this has been since childhood. I've been kind of successful in my life because I always keep my word to myself. If I say I'm going to write a book, I'm going to write the book. If I say I'm going to work out 3 times a week, I'm going to go work out 3 times a week, right? Your words matter. Remember, we just left the Let There Be challenge when we're talking about the importance of words and things of that nature. So I had already decided that I am going to continue no matter what, because I'm not a quitter. And I don't think you all are quitters who watch this, who are watching me right now. You're not a quitter either. Don't quit on yourself. Don't quit on the greatness that you're destined for, right? Even when you can't see the next step, determine not to quit. Even when, okay? Building off of my decidedness and giving my word to myself that I wasn't going to quit. I was curious. I wanted to see what was on the other side, right? I'm very curious about my future. And I hope that all of you are curious about your future too, right? Because if you become lackadaisical about your future, or if you just become, lazy in pursuing it, if you don't decide that you're going to progress towards your future, then a lot of other decisions will be made by you. There's this quote that I like it's said that Zora Neale Hurston said it. We can't find it anywhere, but in literary circles, it is believed that Zora Neale Hurston said, if you don't speak up and if you don't use your words, they'll kill you and say you wanted them to do it. If you don't speak up and you don't use your words, they'll kill you and say you wanted them to do it, right? I was curious about what was next in my life. I was curious about my future. I was curious about why is all hell breaking loose. I'm always curious as about why, God, are you moving me the way that you're moving me? I want to see. And you can call it nosy, but I want to see what God had in mind when he created me before the foundations of the world. I'm curious about that, right? There's this inner knowing that, I'm destined for greatness and you are too, right? There's this pull that's Jesus, come follow me. I was so curious about what was on the other side, and I haven't even seen what was on the other side yet, y'all. So I'm talking to you just now, getting out of the season, a few days ago, really, and going into a new season. So I'm still kind of in the hallway a little bit, but I wanted to see why I was being fought so hard. And I wanted to see why God felt that I needed to go through that season of it was really like heart surgery, right? It was really him implanting a Psalms 51:10, a new heart and a new spirit within. It was really him, showing me that I had a hard heart. That was one of the hardest parts of that last season. Not just, that I got poor results on for what he told me to do, but then I think he used that to change my heart, to soften my heart, to show me what was really in my heart for years. And I probably wouldn't have confronted it had I not gone through a season of heartbreak and hardship, right? And so I wanted to see what was on the other side. And if nothing else, my curiosity really kept me going. I wanted to see. I always want to see. I always want to know. I'm always curious as to what God thought about me, when he cut a covenant before me. When he cut a covenant with me, before he breathed me into my mother's womb. I always want to know. I always want to know, because I want to know if I'm not living his idea of me. I want to know if I'm living beneath my rightful privilege as a kingdom citizen, right? Because y'all know that's what I be talking about. And as a daughter of Christ, I want to know if I'm living beneath my rightful inheritance. And so I was curious about it, and I kept going, and I kept forging through. And that curiosity helped a lot. So if you're going through a difficult season, I want to encourage you to stay curious. Don't lose your wonder, right? Don't lose, not I wonder, but don't lose your wonder in God and how he created you. Don't lose that. Don't lose that. That may be one of the things you have to hold on to, that that God created you for more. That this is just a season. This is not a permanent thing. And so the last thing that I had to, that helped me, was acceptance. And that was the hardest thing. Acceptance that was my current season. Y'all, it's tough when you see people winning and you feel like you're losing and you have to still celebrate them. It's a hard season. I had a lot of that for the last 15 months. And I had to accept that I was just going to have to be in this hard season, and I couldn't get out of it. I could not run out of it. I could not achieve over it. I had to accept that this is my reality right now. Brianna, this is your reality. Your reality is hardship right now. Your reality is you're experiencing this. This is not who you are, but this is your experience right now. And accepting that was my experience, I ain't like it. I did not like it. I did not like it, because I don't like, and no one likes hard experiences, right? I didn't like it. But when I got to a place of acceptance that this is where God put you, acceptance that this is where this was orchestrated for you in order to help you grow. You may not see why you needed to grow for years later, but this season was ordained for you to be here, and God was pleased in your suffering, right? Because there's a scripture that if you suffer with him, you will reign with him. And I had to accept that. I had to put on my big girl panties, y'all, because this is big girl faith walk. This is big girl Christianity. This ain't pretty. This is the backside of the desert. Really. This is the backside of the desert. And I had to accept that I was literally on the backside of the desert, and that God had put me there, and that I needed to be there, even though I didn't understand while I was there. And even though I hated it there, I was always honest with God. Like, I hate it here. I hate it here. I hate that I feel fragmented. I hate that I don't feel like myself. I hate that I'm not authentically happy. God never promised us that we would be happy following him. I had to admit those things. And I had to accept that this is where you're going to be until he take you out. And I was like, every month, I was like, okay, God, is this over? Is this the month I'm coming out? You know what I'm saying? Is this the month it's going to be over for me? And every month after that, it wasn't the month. It wasn't the month. It wasn't the time. I didn't learn the lesson 3 months in. My heart wasn't postured 6 months in correctly. I wasn't surrendered in a way that I needed to be surrendered. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't all of these things that I needed to be who you see me now. I wasn't. I was becoming them, but I wasn't. And accepting that that was the season that he wanted me in, not necessarily the season that I wanted to be in, was hard. And I don't think I accepted it until the end of it. Until the end of it. I would say maybe a week and a half prior, after I finally accepted it, my will accepted it, that is when, the season started to change. And I'm not going to say that that time frame is going to be true for you because, I'm not a blueprint. You know what I'm saying? You can use me as inspiration, but I don't want you to say like, oh, Brianna, she did this in this time and this is going to happen to me. I found myself there too. Plenty of times when I was first starting off in my faith, when people would say, I prayed and fasted. What would they used to say? I prayed and fasted for 3 days. And on the third day, God sent my spouse. Here go immature Bree, praying and fasting for 3 days and no spouse was in sight on the third day. So I never want to present a gospel or my story in a way to tell you that God is going to do that for you, because he's probably not. But he will do what he sees best for you if you surrender and accept that he's in control. That's another thing God had to do. He had to break my control, my pride. He had to break my control and my pride, y'all. And that hurts. When he breaks your control, like there were usually a season where I would say there were months on end when I would feel like I was being hazed. And I've never pledged a, Greek sorority, but I have friends who did. And I know loosely about the hazing process. And I felt that I was being hazed. And sometimes I would talk to my friends. I'm like, it feel like being hazed. I'm being hazed. And they'll be like, yeah, it does look like you being hazed. I felt like I was being hazed. And there was nothing anyone could do to get me out of it. No one, it wasn't a money issue. It wasn't something that humans could do. It was a God thing. It was a divine hardship orchestrated by God. I really believe it was. And it got a lot. He accomplished a lot in those 15 months, but they were the hardest months. And, fascinatingly, if you look at my life and you see me on social media, you see me winning. And I do show my highlight reel. And there are moments when I do show those moments where I struggle. But it was the best of times and the worst of times at the same time. That is how I can describe my 2022. It was wonderful and difficult at the same time. And I had to hold the tension of both seasons. I had to try to seize the happiness when, my feelings would allow me to. And I also had to sit in the hot loneliness of the disappointment that I had experienced and continue to move forward and continue to choose myself. And that's not something that we necessarily are taught. We're not taught that, I don't think. And if you are very lucky. But that is something, that is a skill that I've had to learn. And I sense that it will not be the last. And I say that because if I look back on my life, there are always these years of breaking in order for me to get to the next level. So when I was back, before I got to this level that I'm at right now, when I first started, there was a breaking that broke my heart. It broke me down through there. It was a 2-year, it was a 2-year situation with me and God, a 2-year journey. And it broke me down. And then I got to the level I was on. Then there was another year-long experience with the Lord that broke me down. And then this one I'm just telling you about broke me down. And so now I'm able to go to the next level. And so I know that if my history with God has shown me anything, it is that there will be a breaking before there will be elevation. And when I think about it, we think about when God blessed the bread, when Jesus blessed the bread and he broke it. And then he fed, the 5,000. I feel like he blesses us before we go into our hardship. Then he breaks us. And then he allows us to go out and be elevated, go out and do what we're supposed to do, right? Because in the breaking is where you find out who you are. In the breaking is where you find out what you believe. In the breaking is where you find out your blind spots. And it's the hard season, right? It is the heartbreaking. It's not in the good times and on the mountain that you experience God. You experience God generally in the valley when you can hear him. Because when we're on the mountaintops and everything's going great, we ain't really trying to pray like that. Like, we gonna pray, but they may be the cute prayers. When you're desperate, you are crying out before the Lord. You are just unburdening yourself. You're spending a lot of time with him, right? That is where and if we're honest, and if we all look back over our lives, we spend more time in our valleys than we do on the mountaintops. We spend more time in the valleys than on the mountains. And because the valley prepares you to be on the top, the valley prepares you to hold on to, what it is that God has given you. The valley develops your character. I think I had a pretty good character. My heart wasn't always right because I used to forget people mama had them when they, did something to me. But I did. I used to forget people mama had them. And there used to be a saying with my friends and I back in the day, like, I would forget your mama had you. That wasn't God. That was me. That was all flesh. That wasn't right. But I ain't got to keep you in my life, but I ain't going to forget your mama had you. My heart wasn't okay, right? My heart was sick. And did you know that, you can still live and do things when your heart is not pumping at 100%? Literally. When your heart is not, even if your heart is pumping at 40%, you can still live and not know a lot that's going on with you. I think that I was the person whose heart was pumping at 40%. And God's like, nah. Y'all, look at the likes. There are 23 likes. Let me pause here. There are 23 likes. There are 32 of you watching, which is 23 in reverse. We're about to go into the year 2023. And y'all remember I said that this is going to be your Jordan year. Oh, somebody then got off the broadcast and turned it to 31. But anyway, there are 23. Oh, well, there's 24 likes. Never mind. All right. Anyway, back to my story. My heart, I didn't have the heart that I needed to have. I didn't have the compassion. I didn't have what was necessary for the next level. And so as we're going into 2023, as we are, praying that God will do the miraculous, give us, our inheritance, do the things that he said he will do, understand that your transitioning will require much of you. And if you're in a hard season right now, I just read somebody comment. If you're in a season right now, he's preparing you to go to the mountain. If you're on the mountain right now, I want to encourage you to seize the moment, enjoy your time up there, because, it's all cyclical. We go mountain, valley, mountain, valley. And then there is an inflection point, right? And we see that in Joseph's life. And I know a lot of prophets have been prophesying about the Joseph year, like this will be a Joseph year in 2023. And I believe that. I really do believe that. There's a point in Joseph's life where he doesn't go back into the pit. There's a point in Joseph's life where he is at the top and he stays there. And I'm praying that we all get to that moment, right? That inflection point when he's not from pit to palace, but he's just in the palace. I'm praying that we all get there. This does not mean that we will not have hardships. Does not mean that we will have challenges, won't have challenges, but it does mean that there will come a place where we go into a new level where we won't go back, right? Where we won't go back. There is an inflection point waiting for all of us. There is a point where you don't keep going over and over and over in that same cycle and you just go up. And inflection points are not like 90-degree. An inflection point is like this, straight up, like this, straight up, right? It's not a slow progression. We're going straight up. And I want that to be for everyone. I want everyone to experience an inflection point, because my life, if I'm honest, has been like this. Slowly, then we level out, and then we go up more, then level out. No, I'm trying to go straight up. You know what I'm saying? But I want it to be in the moment with so many of you, because as I said in the beginning, so many people have been emailing me about hardships, and I've been praying for you, and I've been asking God for supernatural strategy for you all. And I know that we all can be forward looking, that we don't look at the here and now, but we also need to take inventory of the here and now, right? We need to take inventory. Khadija. Y'all stop. Y'all are hilarious. Anyway, I got some thoughts on the stock market, but anyway, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be in the moment with you all, understanding that not everyone is experiencing complete joy. Understand that not everyone is experiencing, and not everyone is looking forward to 2023. I understand that, and I understand why that is, right? So I wanted to be sober enough in the moment to say, I hear you, I see you, I understand what you're going through. I've been there. I have been you. I am you. And I just want to encourage you to keep moving forward. All you're responsible for is today. Tomorrow, all you will be responsible for is tomorrow. That is how I had to kind of manage it. Okay, Brianna, you can't think about what will happen in 6 months. You can't think about what in 30 days. You have to worry about you only have the capacity for that moment, for that day. It's something about grief and hardship that I feel like shrinks our capacity for stuff, right? When everything's going well, we're able to stretch out, expand. But when things start to happen to us, I feel like our capacity is like restricted. And we still try to do all the things that we're used to doing. You can't operate on that level. You got to shift. You got to turn. You have to recalibrate. You got to recalibrate, right? You have to reassess. Okay, this thing has happened to me. What has to come off my plate? I can't do this and be okay. I can't continue to do that and be okay. You have to recalibrate. You have to reassess. You may have said yes to something in a season where nothing was going on, and now all of the things are going on. And you may just have to have a conversation with someone and say, hey, I know I said I would do this thing. I committed to it in this season when, everything, I could commit to it, but now my season has changed and I don't have the capacity to do what I said I was going to do. And I would rather be honest and have this honest conversation with you than fail you with your expectation, than not produce, than not present my best self. I would rather tell you that I can no longer do it than cause some type of issue. I feel like, and feelings may be hurt, but I feel like they will respect you more for saying I can't do this thing, as opposed to just ignoring the situation and dropping the ball and not saying nothing. We got to be honorable. And when in those 15 months, when I told you that I'm a high achiever, y'all, I didn't do a whole lot of stuff. I scaled back greatly and it was hard, because I'm used to my defense mechanism back in the day was something hurt your feelings, you go achieve something. Something hurt your feelings, you go dominate in some area, right? But that was bad behavior. That was me trying to numb the pain of what I was feeling with achievement. And then I would wonder why my achievements weren't feeling like I was winning. They were empty. Well, because Brianna, you was up here trying to achieve over hurt. You know what I mean? So in those 15 months, I continued to do what I was responsible for, but I only did what I was responsible for. I did not volunteer for stuff. I didn't do a lot of stuff. And people would ask me and I'm like, nah. And they would be looking at me and I'm looking at them. I'm like, I ain't got it. I'm like, well, no, you could. No, I can't. I'm telling you right now, I cannot do that. It has nothing to do with my time. It has everything to do with my capacity. They would be mad, but you have to respect someone who's telling you the truth about them, right? I didn't have the capacity to stretch. I couldn't do it. And I had to be honest to say, I can't do it. And people who were used to me doing it, they saw a different side of the Brianna who was human enough to say, nah, I'm not going to do that. And my default system was challenging me. Yeah, Bri, you can do it. You know, that internal talk. You got it. You could do it. You could. No, you can't. You got to take care of you at this point. Now you got to lick your wounds at this point. You can't do it. So, yeah, man, I understand that it's not a happy new year for a lot of people. And you're not alone if you're experiencing that. Nothing is wrong with you if you're experiencing that. This is just a hard season for you. I went through a season, this last season, like that. I was prepared to go through another year of it. I was going to do it with an attitude probably, but I was prepared to do it because I knew I couldn't get out of it. So I want you to know that you're seen, you're heard, you're valuable, you're loved. Nothing is wrong with you. You know, it's just your it's just your turn. It's just your turn to go through. We all go through on our turns. It's just your turn. And when you can accept that it's your turn, you can accept the process a little bit easier. We're all taking turns going through things, right? We're all taking turns in the breaking. We're all taking turns in the making, in the molding, and all the things. We all are. This is your turn right now. There will be a season when it's not your turn. And when I'm thinking about these death by suicide rates, when I'm thinking about people, you know, just the harm that people do to themselves because of despair, I want to encourage you not to make a permanent decision based on a temporary circumstance. Don't make a permanent decision based on a temporary circumstance, okay? Because seasons change. They do. They don't change all the time at the same time. You know, this time next year, the season may not change. It may change a day later or, you know, a week later, but seasons do change. They're just seasons. They're seasonal. They're not permanent. And as you change and as you continue to go, you will have seasons. You know, there's this, I think there's a scripture, there's a time to laugh, there's a time to cry. You know, that scripture. Sometimes we only want the time to laugh and the time to have joy. We don't necessarily like the seasons that we have to cry. And I cried a lot my last season. I was like, what is wrong with you, girl? I was tired of myself crying. But seasons change. And when you can't believe, sometimes when I used to have to call my friends and listen, I would ask them, can you remind me of who I am? Ooh, that was a hard conversation. I'm gonna tear up by admitting that. I used to ask them to remind me who I am because I couldn't see it at the moment. And because my friends had insight, because my friends knew me, because my friends were, you know, spirit-filled believers, they were able to speak life into me when I didn't have the life to speak into myself, right? So when I would ask them, can you remind me who I am? I was asking them to throw me a lifeline. Tell me what you see. Tell me what you know. It's hard for me to believe it. But if someone else can see it, there must be a truth somewhere. I got to get back to the truth. I got to get back to the truth. And I think that that's how we spend our whole lives, when we're clocked into time after we, this ain't scriptural, but this is what I believe about our conception story. I believe that we're all in heaven with God as a thought, as an idea, as a spark. And God shows us our lives. This is just me believing that this is my story. He shows us our lives before he clocks us into time. And he says, who can live this life? And in heaven, we're like, me, I can live this life. I can live this life. And he's like, okay. So he chooses us and he blows us into time, throws us into eternity, throws us into time, into our mother's womb. And when we come out of our mother's womb, we spend our whole lives trying to remember what we forgot. We spend our whole lives trying to get back to the truth. We spend our whole lives trying to remember what it was like, what we saw, what God saw, what God showed us. That's where those moments where you're like, no, this isn't right. Because God showed you that. He ingrained that knowing within you. You saw. I believe that we all signed up for our lives. As I said, I don't have no Bible to support this, but I believe that we all agreed to the life we lived. We live in a lot of ways. We may not agree to the circumstances, but I think that because the end, God knows the end from the beginning. And because we know that we have a destined end, I believe he did show us in heaven with him. No, I don't have no Bible for this. This is just something that I theorize about with my friends and with God. And I'm like, tell me about deja vu, right? Tell me about those slips in time between time and space when I know I haven't been here, but I've seen it already, right? And so that goes back to me saying, we try to get back to truth. The truth of who we are, the truth of who God is in our lives, the truth of what we know to be true. Hardship reroutes us. Hardship makes us forget. Hardships cause us to stumble. Hardship cause us to just have a human experience. And I want everyone to make peace with their humanity, because you have to make peace with your humanity right now. You have to. Okay? You are a spirit having a human experience, and every experience is not going to be pleasant, but you have to get to the other side. Remember what Jesus told the disciples when they were in a boat and the storm broke out? What did he say? Let's cross over to the other side. Remember that scripture? It was a storm, and Jesus telling them like, no, let's go to the other side. And they like, sir, don't you see this storm? Don't you see this storm? He's like, no, there's another side. So I need you to remember, if you're in a season of hardship, or when you find yourself in a season of hardship, there is another side. Learn the lesson. Learn the lesson now. Learn whatever it is you need to learn. Become whoever you need to become, and go through it so you don't have to repeat it again. I've never failed a grade before in school, but I know people who have. And when they fail a grade, they always feel like they're behind. When they're held back, they feel like they're behind because they have to repeat a grade. And so they're behind the rest of their class. That's how I look at it if we abort the process. You hop out this process, you're going to be behind because you didn't learn the lesson that you needed to learn. Now you got to start over. And sometimes that start over means you're with the class behind you, not with your designated class you started with, right? If I can help it, I never want to be behind schedule. I always want to be on time. And if I ever feel like I'm behind schedule, I need to have a conversation with God about it. I don't like being behind schedule at all. Like my birthday's in October, and in Chicago, they didn't let me start school on time. And therefore, I wasn't held back. I just couldn't start school. So I've always been in this limbo situation of, I am not with my class because my class birthdays fell earlier, but I'm not with the class behind me. I'm in this middle space. And I've always been in the middle space my entire life. Always been in the middle space. And it's been the hardest thing because I'm like, these are my peers, but I am here because of a technicality and I'm not here with them. It's always been frustrating because I've always felt like I should be with my peers, but I've been in the middle ground between the two. And maybe when God speeds up the time in my life, he'll put me on the rightful grade level with my peers. But, you know, yeah, man, I don't like it. See, Ms. Donaldson said hers is October 17th. See, mine is October 13th. I don't like it. They could have let me start on time. So that's all I have. Let me hop in the chat, y'all. What y'all got to say in the chat? Let me go back to the top. Let's see what people say. Being vulnerable is difficult. Glad that God was there for you through your friends. Such a relief to hear someone else being honest about being angry with God. I'm in therapy too, and it's a release. Yeah, I'm really honest about being angry, and I'm really honest with him too. Cause he already know. You wanna know what's crazy, y'all? Sometimes we try to go in prayer and we be so mad at God and we mad at something and we, Father and God and hallelujah, God, we worship you, we honor you. And he's like, so we gonna talk about what's wrong with you? And you trying to talk about everything else. And he like, no, let's talk about what's really wrong with you. I think sometimes we've been conditioned to believe that, God don't want to hear it. He already knows that what's wrong with you is impeding your relationship with him. It's a blockage right there. So y'all need to get past the blockage. You won't get back past the blockage until you admit, I'm hurt. I am angry. I am upset. I feel like you betrayed me. You turned your back on me. I don't understand this. Like, until you get that out, you're going to continue to circle. It's going to be an elephant in the room. That's what I want to say. He's aware of the elephant. Let's talk about it. And let's continue to talk about it as long as you need to talk about it. But what I learned from God is in this season is like, yeah, let's talk about it. But at the end of the day, you need to get up. Yes, feel how you feel, Brianna. I hear you. But at the end of the day, you need to do what I told you to do today. Yes, because nothing's going to be perfect. You're never going to have a perfect opportunity. It's never going to be a perfect time for you to do something that God told you to do. So you have to exercise that muscle, right? To actually do the things even when it's hard for you to do the things. You have to build up that muscle memory. Okay? All right, someone says, me too, shutdown is my defense mechanism. It doesn't work. It does not. It just delays the healing. Absolutely. Slow down is so different than shutdown. Yes. Elizabeth says, this is good. One of my decrees is for a community where I can be vulnerable and can rely on people to intercede on my behalf when I can't. Yes, and I'm believing that that will happen for you in 2023, that God will bring you your intercessors. That's also been a prayer of mine, that God would send me intercessors. He would send me divine kingdom friendships, right? That people who are believers that can hold me up, hold my arms up, and intercede on my behalf when I can't. Because sometimes we don't got it. Sometimes life be life and we don't have it. So we need our community to have it, right? Let's see. Luxuries of Time says, oh my goodness, this is so true, but I'm steadfast and I'm determined to keep going. That's all you're responsible to do. Keep putting one foot in front of the other. Keep putting one foot in front of the other. Courtney says, acceptance was hard for me. I don't like it, but it's been less stressful after accepting where I am. Yeah, acceptance is always hard. Acceptance is very difficult. It's not as cute as people like to be like, you just got to accept. No, that takes some time. That's going to take some layers. You know what I'm saying? Acceptance is not easy, especially if you didn't feel like you did anything wrong and you was like just thrown into a situation. Acceptance is not easy. Georgie says, yes, asking God, when is the breakthrough used to drive me bananas? Yeah, man, trying to say, when is it? Is it over? Is it over? Ooh. Is it going to be a brighter day tomorrow? That's hard. That's hard to keep looking for it and it never comes. You know what I'm saying? So I get that. Lakeisha said, this is an on-time word for me. I'm so glad. Luxuries of Time says, I guess God is dealing with me on that. Oh, she must mean, let's see, because I can walk past you like I never met you. Oh, you must be talking about when I said that, I forget your mama had you. I did, man. Like, and this was like, when if someone did me wrong, anybody, I'm legit cold-hearted. I'm not that no more. I was cold-blooded. I'm forget your mama had you. Who? They say your name. Who? Who's that? Wow. Sarah with H says this is a Fendi fact. I've never heard Fendi fact before. Courtney says I need to go back and watch this again. Watch it as many times as you need. Let's see. I'm sorry. The chat moved. Make peace with your humanity. Yep. Sarah without an age says, because in your dry place, you can feel like nobody, inadequate. You can feel like a nobody. Y'all, first of all, let me remind y'all that I actually live in an actual desert. I know people come to Vegas to live their life, but this is a desert. We live in the desert. In the summertime, the heat, the atmosphere sucks any moisture out of your skin. It is hot. We can get up to 120, 130 out here on a given day. It does not end. It does not stop. And I was really shocked when that was one of my first breakings with God. Well, it was the second breaking when he moved me out to Vegas. Do y'all know? Let's talk about faith. I moved to Vegas with less than $50 in my pocket. I was transitioning out of graduate school. This was 2018. I was living in a hotel for a month and a half, and it wasn't because I was homeless. It was because a tree, when you live in the South, it was during hurricane season. And at the time I was in Chicago visiting, when I came back home, a tree had fallen on the house that I was renting. And where the tree fell, it fell on the bedroom side of the home, but it separated the house structure. So where my bed was, y'all, I just thank God, because it could have been worse, because all of the debris fell on where my head would have been. So I thank God that I was not in town when it happened, but it did displace me, right? The tree fell, the roof was completely, the house was the bedroom was unlivable, right? I could not sleep in there, I couldn't live in there. And so as a result, I had to live in a hotel. Well, at the same time, as a graduate student, and any graduate student knows this who's on funding, your stipend ends in May. So what I did with my current institution, I negotiated for them to allow me to teach in summer school before I got, out here to teach summer school, 2 sessions. That would have been a $10,000, no, not 10, maybe $7,000 pay. And that would have helped me transition from Alabama to Vegas. That would have helped me live, right? But for some reason, I didn't get paid. I got some theories about that, y'all, but I did not get paid. So not only am I displaced, I had to ship my car to the West Coast with no guarantee. I had no guarantee. So I had to ship my car to the West Coast on faith. I had to ship all of my belongings to the West Coast on faith, not knowing if I was going to be able to sign the lease, because I didn't have the money to sign the lease. My credit cards were maxed out. And no one could help me, because that was a season where I had to learn how to depend on God. And no money coming in, y'all. And it was so hard, because I had worked my whole life doing the right things. I set myself up. Graduate students, I was making $13,000 a year. For people who don't know, I was on fellowship. I was making $13,000 a year. And that was that. So I wasn't making no money, because graduate students are cheap labor in a lot of ways. So that $13,000 was gone. Then I'm living in a hotel, so I'm having to eat out every day. I'm struggling. I'm transitioning to a place that I don't know nothing about. And every place that I've lived, I've never known anyone except for, Chicago, where I was born. But I'm transitioning to another place, which is tough, right? Anyone who has moved knows how tough it is to transition to a place that you don't know anyone. So this is another difficult transition. So I'm transitioning to the West Coast. I never lived on the West Coast. I'm transitioning to Vegas. I had agreed to sign the lease virtually to secure my apartment, but I needed to give them my deposit then on the 1st without any money. The institution, I get on the plane, y'all, with less than $50 in my pocket, and I land in Vegas. And that night, I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen to me tomorrow. I don't know how the institution couldn't figure out how to pay me, even though I had done the work and I had been working for 2 months. And they were like, oh, it's going to come this time. It's going to come this time. It ain't come. It didn't come. So I get here. I'm shook. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Like, I have to give people the remainder of the money to get my car. FedEx should be delivering my clothes and stuff that were shipped the next day. And that was the most miserable plane ride I ever took from the South, from Alabama to Vegas. It was about 5 hours, 4 to 5 hours. I was miserable. No one could help me. And now, let's not even talk about I'm moving to a wilderness. Let's not talk about that I am living in the valleys and there are mountains that surround the entire city. So now I'm in a physical valley. So not only did you put me in the wilderness, in the desert, you put me in a valley with no money. I don't know how I'm going to survive the next day. No one can help me. I go to bed. I'm shook. I say, there's nothing else I can do. I know I'm supposed to be here. Let me back up. A little bit. Let me tell y'all about the journey to Vegas, right? So I'm interviewing for jobs. If anyone knows, when you're on the job market as a PhD student, you apply for all the places you want to live. And so only thing I knew about Vegas was the Hangover movie. So I thought I applied to Vegas as a joke. I applied to 30 schools total. I think I got 5 in-person 5 Skype interviews and 2 on-campus interviews. If you don't get a job offer, y'all, it's really tough out here for PhD students. If you don't get a job offer, you just don't have a job, and it's an ugly situation that happens. So even if you got a PhD, that does not mean you're going to get a job as an academic. So, I came to Vegas. I thought it was great. They loved me. I liked them. And I knew that God told me, this is your job. I knew it. I just knew that this was going to be my job. Well, y'all, I get an email that they offered the job to another person. Now, in academia, the way that the job market goes is they'll bring like maybe 3 or 4 candidates out to give a job talk, to talk to students, to interview. Like, basically it's to see if you are fit. They already know you're qualified, but they want to see if you fit with the culture of the department and if the department fits with your culture. And so, I thought it was great. I'm like, I know they're going to offer me this job. This is going to be mine. And God had already told me, you're going to be out here. So I get an email. This is January. And mind you, these interviews are not one day. Like, this is a 3-day interview. Once you land and you get in the car with one of the faculty members, you're interviewing with each person. Conversations, you're giving a job talk. Like, you're doing so much. You're on for 72 hours that it's exhausting, and you don't have breaks in between. Okay, so just to put that in perspective. So I get an email in end of January, early February, that they made a job offer to someone else. That means that there was a candidate that they liked more than me, or whatever the case may be, and they offered the job to this individual. I was heartbroken because I didn't have another plan. I knew that God told me that this was my job, but I just got an email that they gave the job to someone else, right? I am about to graduate within a few months. I don't have a plan B. I only had plan A. Plan A was follow God. My friends at the time, they're getting their job offers. Everyone's celebrating. I'm crushed. I am crushed because I worked hard. I did what he told me to do. I did all the things, and I didn't get a job. Well, sometimes academics go on the job market and apply for jobs because they want to get a higher salary at their institution. So they may go interview and get a job offer and to negotiate a higher salary at their home institution than they say at their home institution. Maybe this is what the person did. I don't know. But maybe, so they have 2 week this negotiation process. 2 weeks after that, I get an email that they want to offer me the job. Now, if I can be totally honest, y'all, I've never been anyone's first choice in a lot of ways. I've always been passed over for things. And surprisingly, I've always been the better choice. But for some reason, I've never been the first choice in a lot of ways. It's just how my life has been going. But once I am the choice, I'm always the best choice. That'll preach itself. Anyway, so I get this job offer that I remember it like it was yesterday. It was a February day. Get the job offer. I get off the phone. I'm super excited because now I have a job offer. Now I know where I'm going, even though I don't want to live in Vegas. I know where I'm going. I got a job. I secured the bag. I'm at a conference. I'm speaking at a conference in Spelman as I'm negotiating, right? I'm in Atlanta at the time. And then I go into the conference. We're in the opening session. And I get a call from my dad. And my father calls me and tells me that my brother is dead. Shocked. So one of the happiest days of my life turns into one of the worst days in my life, right? This is one of my youngest brothers. I am the oldest of a lot of people, a lot of siblings. And this is one of my youngest brothers. And so this day is wrapped in grief now. This excitement, now I got this job. I held the faith. They got it. God came through is wrapped in grief now, right? Fast forward, I graduate. And then that's when we pick up at the story I just told you about the tree falling on the house, me living in the hotel, and then me coming out to Vegas with less than $50. All right, now you caught up. So the next day I wake up, Vegas owes me under roughly $7,000. Somehow they released $3,000 of it. I was grateful for the $3,000 because I didn't know how I needed to give the leasing office $1,200 that next morning. You know what I mean? So even though it wasn't all the money, I was grateful that it had come through. So I'm trying to get y'all to understand about the spiritual warfare, the warfare that I've been in for years on end, years at a time. As I'm trying to progress, the enemy is trying to, you know what I'm saying, knock my head off. So I finally I pay my lease. I move in. My FedEx items arrive, but my car is not there. The car that cost $900 that I maxed one of my credit cards out to ship is not there. I signed up for door-to-door service. Y'all know they dropped my car off at a casino. I had belongings in that car. They left it in valet too. I'm like, how do I pay y'all $900, almost $900, and y'all don't deliver my car? Y'all drop it off at a casino. If I didn't have the title, then I would be in trouble, right? Because they weren't going to give me my car back if I didn't prove that I was the owner of it. How does that happen? So then I get to Vegas. I'm excited. I'm like, okay, I'm back in a major city. I'm out of Alabama. No shade to Alabama. Just wasn't where I wanted to live. And I'm in Vegas, and I'm high hopes at this point because I just went through hell to get here, right? I just went through hell to get here. In high hopes, not realizing that it is it's a desert. Not realizing the significance of what a desert would mean for me for 5 years. 4 years. I moved here in 2018. Yeah, we're in 2022. We're going on 5 years. It'll be 5 years, July 2023. Not knowing that I would literally be in a wilderness for almost 5 years. Not realizing the spiritual significance, not realizing why. I was just like, okay. So now I'm in this wilderness getting trained by God. No one knows who I am. I'm getting a taste slapped out of my mouth by him. I'm still trying to live as a Christian. My best at the time. I am, maturing in a desert, in darkness, in secret, and I'm asking God, when is my time? When is my turn? How much longer do we have to go? You know what I mean? Those questions when you're just tired. And that is what the 5 years have been. Y'all see me now, but there was a long time when no one did see me. A long time. And I, didn't always have like a spiritual community, right? I didn't. I did not. I don't have spiritual parents. I don't have mentors. I have my mother who, covers me in prayer. She's a believer and has set the tone for my spiritual life since I was a child in a lot of ways. And then I came into a community of friendships that, not even a community, I'll say like one or two of my friends are people that I can talk to. I'm building with other people now who are believers and we can hold each other up. But it was a long season when I didn't have that. It was just me and God in Holy Ghost training school. And so while I hear when people say you need to get you a spiritual parent, I hear you. But there are those of us when God wants to train us ourselves. Himself, I mean. There are those of us when God's like, I don't want you tainted by certain things. You need to get it directly from me. And so many times I see people not do what God tells them to do because they have listened to someone who says, you need a spiritual parent, you need these things. I think that there are certain things that you need and there are certain things that maybe we want. I don't think, and this is with all due respect, with anyone who has a spiritual parent, this is no shade at all. They're not necessary. They won't, if you don't have one, let me say it like this. If you don't have one, you're not going to be hindered. You may not be able to have a mentor. You may not have a guide, but you'll still get to your destiny because God will guide you. God will show you the way, right? So I tell y'all that story of me getting to this place where I am right now to let y'all know, like, it hasn't been all roses for me. I never want to paint a picture that it has been great. You see me show up, you see me teach, you see me smile, you see me laugh with y'all. But there is a backside of everything that I do. And I just told you that I walked through a 15-month span of it in front of you. Y'all came in on the latter part of the journey. The last, 3-4 months maybe. But there was a 15-month stretch where I was stretched and I didn't know if I was going to make it through, y'all. I ain't going to lie. It looked like God was trying to take me up out of here. And he didn't. And so I'm here to encourage you and tell you my story and let you know that if you found yourself in a hardship, in a hard season, that you will make it to another side and you will one day speak to people who will need to hear your story. You will one day be positioned to give the encouragement someone else needs. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't want you to give up hope. I don't want you to give up the faith. Let me get back in the chat, y'all. Let's see. The chat moved. Luxuries of Time says, although some of my let there be haven't come to pass yet, God has given me insight to a lot of other things that I had not realized, but I have an excitement within the things that are actually happening. Absolutely. So Luxuries of Time, some things may have come to pass in 2022. But as I said, when I first started the challenge with you all, mine didn't start to come to pass. A lot of them didn't come to pass until 2022. So I started the challenge in 2021 with myself, and a lot of them manifested this year in 2022. So it was, I hope I didn't give you the idea that they were going to happen this year. You were speaking for the new year. You were speaking for the present, but you were also speaking for the new year. You were getting ahead of it. Okay? So keep the faith, sis. Keep the faith. Sabrina says, I've been going through a testing trial in the wilderness because my job will be laying me off soon due to management shift, and I have no plan afterwards, but I'm at peace at the same time. Yeah, so your next message says, feels like when I make progress, I get knocked down. Okay, so a lot of people will be transitioning out of their careers this year, 2023. Some people God has already made it clear to. Some people he will make it clear to within the coming weeks. There are a lot of shifts happening right now. So you're not the only one. You said that you don't have a plan afterwards, and that's fine. I want to encourage you to go ask God what his plan is for your next. What's the next move? How will you create wealth? Or does he want you to get another job? He will always tell you what the plan is. You know what I'm saying? And your job, right, in the moment is to obey him. So there was a snippet in I think it was not the last Let There Be teaching, but the one before that, where I said, sometimes we don't need a miracle, we need it to obey. And sometimes God will give us a strategy 3 months in advance. And then sometimes we may not, implement that strategy or obey what he's telling us to do. And then as a result, we find ourselves in need of a miracle. And God's like, I gave you the strategy 3 months ago because I knew this was happening. So I want you to go back in your prayer time and ask God, did you give me an idea or did you give me a strategy that I probably disregarded in the hustle and the bustle of things? Give it to me again and help me, give me the actionable steps, right? Because it may not be he wants you to get another job. He may want to show you how to create wealth. It may not be he wants you to get another job. He may show you a stock that's going to run up. And he may tell you to invest in it, and it may set you for life. These things happen. Stranger things have happened. And so I want to encourage you with that. But I totally get how it feels, when you say it feels like when I make progress, I get knocked down. But I also don't want you to let that be a decree out of your mouth. Okay? Because, the scripture says you will have what you say. So even as you're saying that, I want you to cancel that too. Right? Don't let that be a decree, because it will continue to be a thing. So you may say this right now in a moment of venting, and I don't think you're venting. I think you're just telling me, which is totally fine. But I want you to be cautious of that, because sometimes in our moments of venting, we say something and then it happens again. And you're like, every time, I can't, whatever we say, when we get mad, and then we give it legal right to operate the next time, right, without canceling it. So I want you to cancel it and say, I won't be knocked down. And when I make progress, I will go forth. When I make progress, I will go far. When I make progress, you know what I mean? Just start declaring the opposite so that it'll get in your spirit and it'll get in the atmosphere. Courtney says, this was so appropriate for me right now. The last 13 months have been so hard. I have made peace with the fact that this is part of my process, trusting God. And this is ghetto. It is ghetto. I ain't gonna lie. A lot of times I'm like, the math ain't math, and it feel like these weapons are prospering. Okay? So we need to come and figure something out. But yeah, I get you. Ms. Donaldson said, I used to be that way. I'm still working on grace. Okay, I'm not sure what you mean. It was so long ago. Sarah with the H says, off topic, did your master's degree program require a lot of writing? I hate writing, but I do want to get my master's at some point. Yeah, so I am an English major. I have 3 degrees in English. And so, with any English program, you're going to do a lot of reading and a lot of writing. And so, yeah, I wrote a lot. Your final seminar papers are 30 pages, but that's because we're expected to publish as well when we go into the profession. And so generally journal articles are between 20 and 30 pages. So because of my discipline, I had to do a lot of reading and writing, but it depends on what discipline you're in, the weight load. But I know the English major, specifically the literature track, we do a lot of reading and writing because that's what we're expected to do. We're in the humanities. Luxuries of Time said, I truly appreciate your obedience and giving this word. I need to hear this. You're very welcome. Elizabeth says, same from Chicago to Cali, broke as heck. Man, it's rough. But y'all know what? I had to steward that season. Because y'all know whenever I talk about my financial journey and stuff, I moved to Vegas in 2018. I started my financial journey in 2019. So all of this is as a continuous story, right? So yeah, I came out here broke. I ain't had nothing. I ain't had no money. I ain't gonna lie to you. But look at me now. I kept going. And I ain't broke. I ain't broke no more. Sarah says, this is so important and relatable. I know this all too well. The shame you feel, everyone moving ahead, and you literally have no explanation as to why you're seemingly moving backwards other than God led me to this dry place. Man, that's so hard. That's so tough. Yeah. 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 God, he got me here. There's nothing you can do. You can move ahead of God and you're going to get your feelings hurt. But if I'm gonna get my feelings hurt, I don't want to get my feelings hurt by me and him. You know what I mean? Like, let's not have two versions of it. If I'm gonna go through the hurt, you just go ahead and hurt my feelings. Let's get it over with. I'm not gonna help. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. As told by Amber, says, literally me when I moved to the Arizona desert. It's different out here. Sarah says, I feel it so deeply. Yes, it's happened to be my dry place. I gotcha. Jordy says, thanks for your transparency. You're welcome. Shaderica, I hope I said your name correctly, says, me, I'm transitioning now. Yeah, when you transition, you transition. You transition. Someone says, I know I'm in a season of isolation, but I know it is a time to spend with God and complete his instruction. And it is calling me to be uncomfortable. Yeah. It is hard at times, but I know it is worth it. Yeah, it is hard at times. Any isolation is hard. Think about it this way, y'all. I taught in prison before. I think I told y'all this. I taught in medium security and maximum security men's prisons when I was in graduate school. And the way that they would punish the people who were incarcerated was to put them in solitary confinement. Solitary confinement, you are in the hole, what they call it. I don't know why I be burping so much when I get on these lives. Jesus Christ, I'm sorry, y'all. You're in the hole for 23 hours of the day. You're alone in one room, no access. You go out for an hour of recreation. No one's out there with you though. And then you go back into the hole. That is how they condition them to be prisoners, but that is also how they break their will. When God has us in isolation, he's breaking your will. He's breaking your will. He's bending you. He's molding you. He's giving you this face-to-face conversation and contact with him. And sometimes we're not prepared for that, right? It's scary. It's hard. It's tough. And those are the moments where we learn the truth about ourselves. We learn why we believe what we believe. If I didn't have a relationship with God, y'all, on my own, I would not be where I am right now. There comes a point in time where you can't ride your parents' faith. You can't ride no one else's faith but yours. And if you don't know why you believe what you believe, something's going to come to test it until you figure out why you believe what you believe. I am where I am because I had the courage to figure out, now why am I supposed to be believing that if I run around a church, something's going to change for me? Why? You know what I mean? Like, if you don't question your faith, I wonder if you have faith at all. If you don't question your belief system, I wonder if that's really your belief system or not. I know what the reason why I'm up here I'm able to talk to y'all with so much confidence and things of that nature is because I've done the work to investigate what I believe and why I believe it. I've done the work and I'm not done doing the work. But you're not going to catch me saying something I don't believe. You won't catch me doing it either. If you can't tell me, if someone tells me I should be doing something and you can't tell me why we do this thing, I'm not about to just follow your tradition. Because y'all know what their scripture, it talks about the traditions of men and what we've made, what they've made the word of the Lord. But yeah, it's a time where you kind of figure out, what do you believe about God? What do you believe about yourself? What do you believe about the world? What do you believe about, what things are in your subconscious? That's hard when you got to face yourself. But it's not wasted. The time is not wasted. A lot of people don't go through and do the work in the isolation, and then they end up not doing so well in life, right? We're always going to be doing our work. We're always going to be doing our work. Some people just don't do the work. It's easier to blame other folks. But when you have the courage to stay in the isolation, to sit in the loneliness, to admit how you feel, you got the goods. You got the goods to succeed. You got the goods. It's just a matter of putting it together. I know God would help me through it. I know he would help me be quick to be obedient to his instructions the first time without dragging my feet. Yeah. I think 2023 is going to require a lot of people to be radically obedient. And when I say radically, I mean as soon as you hear it, obey. As soon as you hear it, intend to do it. As soon as you hear it, because there are going to be so many moments that God allows us to lay hold of and seize. And if you're not obedient, and if you don't do the thing, you can miss the moment. Not because he didn't want it for you, but because you didn't do what he told you to do. You wasn't prepared for it. You didn't do the work. Your character isn't where it needs to be. Like, I really feel like this is going to be, this decade is going to be the decade of the kingdom. Not the Jesus who came for salvation, but the King. The decade of the King. I really feel like the King and the kingdom will be made manifest this entire decade, because it's necessary, especially where we're going with technology and all of the things that the world is progressing towards. But yeah, y'all, I just wanted to come on here and commune with y'all. If y'all didn't like this video, can you like the video, please? But I just wanted to just spread some hope before we get into the new year soberly, right? Meet you where you are or where you may be, and let you know that there is another side, and you will get to the other side. You will get to the other side. You're only responsible for the day. Don't try to cast yourself so far into the future. You're responsible for today, and then tomorrow you're responsible for tomorrow. Okay? Do we have any more questions, comments, concerns before I hop on off here? I'm about to go wash my hair. Y'all know I straightened my hair for Christmas, and she has held on long enough. But when my hair is straightened, which hasn't been straightened in a very long time, I can't work out. And so I'm losing muscle mass. I don't like it. And so I am going back into the gym tomorrow. So I got to hop on off here and get my hair back into her natural state. If you are not a subscriber, consider subscribing to my YouTube channel, because I'm back on here on Thursday. If y'all didn't see that flyer that I posted in the community tab, Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'm going to walk you through how I study the Bible. If you don't know how to study the Bible, you're probably at a disadvantage. You're probably at a disadvantage, and you have not been fully maximizing your time as a kingdom citizen. And so we're going to do a quick, not quick, we're going to probably be on here about an hour or two. And I'm going to walk you through how I exegete the text. Serena says, where do you shop for your wardrobe? Girl, everywhere. I shop at, for my hats, I shop at one exclusive place. It's called Gigi Pips. It's an online store, and that's GIGIPIP. They have quality hats. So I have probably like 15 hats. I'm also an affiliate member. I'm a brand ambassador. So I get free hats now because I'm, one of their ambassadors. For clothing, I shop online. I rarely go into a store. It takes me a long time to make decisions about clothes. So I shop at like the cheap stores like Fashion Nova. I shop at prettylittlething.com. I shop for my work attire, these are not cheap places. I shop at Ann Taylor, The Loft. Where else? I shop at H&M. That's probably it, honestly. But for my relaxed style, my fashion forward stuff, yeah, I shop at cheap places. I'm very frugal with money, if you haven't noticed. My shoes, are generally Steve Madden. For Forever 21 has some good heels if you look for them. They have some quality shoes too. I have some shoes from Steve Madden. I'm not a sneaker person, so I only own one. I own a pair of workout shoes. My weightlifting shoes I got from Walmart. I got shoes from Target. I shop anywhere. I shop anywhere, y'all. It's just about how you put it together. That's really all it's about. It's about how to put it together. I can't wait to learn more and expand my toolkit for setting the Bible. Yes, so come, make sure you're sign up for my email list. You can sign up for my email list. Let me get it to you right now, because an email is going out Monday morning with all the details. So make sure you're signed up at briannawhiteside.com if you want the email and you want to know what's happening in my world and things like that. Elizabeth said, love this. You're such a blessing and happy new year. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you so much. Come on, hat. Yeah, I love hats. Like, I got so many hats. Sarah without H says, Brianna, how tall are you? I am 5'8", girl. I am not a short woman. I am 5'8". Let me just tell y'all, I'm 5'8". I wear a size 10 shoe. And I'm roughly like clothing. I'm like, unless I'm going like an oversized, this is a large, but I'm a medium shirt and like a 12 pants because I lift weight. So I don't have a lot of body fat. I'm not muscular at all, but I don't have a lot of body fat. So yeah, I'm not small. I'm not a small woman at all. And when I have my natural hair out and it sits all high and stuff, I look like an Amazon sometimes. But I am tall. I walk tall. I come from tall people. I have very tall people in my family. Like my younger brothers are like 5'6". I mean 6'6", 6'3", 6'1". My grandmother was tall. Those are my brothers on my mom's side. My grandmother was tall. We're all taller than my mother. So yeah, I come from tall people, very tall people. So yeah. Oh yeah, my IG, you figured I was talking my IG. Yeah, I'm tall. I'm not short at all. I'm not a short woman. I can't be short doing what I'm doing. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm tall. Yeah. So anything else, y'all? I'm about to get off here because I'm hungry. I gotta eat my cheat meal before I gotta go back to juicing. Do y'all juice? I do not. The only reason I eat healthy because I like to be snatched and I like, I want to have my body in shape for my destiny. If that wasn't a thing, y'all, I would be eating pizza and nachos forever. Okay? Sarah without an H says, because all the time I thought you were short, I guess, because you're sitting down, but I saw your ID and I was like, oh my gosh, you're tall. Yeah, I'm tall. I'm not short at all. I'm not short at all. And don't let me put on my heels because I love some heels. I love some heels. I'm out here. I'm out here. Sarah says, thank you, Brianna. You're like my big sis in my head. Oh, I'll do that. I'll be that. I'm down for that. And I'm so glad that you saw me on TikTok. And I'm so glad that you pressed through, being negative Nancy like you was. And I'm so glad that you're not hurt no more. So give yourself a round of applause, girl. Jamisha said, I didn't miss the whole lot. You did. We've been on here. We've been on here for almost 2 hours. Y'all see y'all be keeping me. We've been on here for almost 2 hours. Georgie says, I want to try raw fruits and vegetables. Ooh. Georgie, you on your own. Unless the Lord come back and tell me I gotta do it, I'm not doing that. Nope. No. Bless you. I'm gonna pray for you. Lord, give her the grace. give her the grace. Cause I ain't joining in on that. That needs no blessings to you. So are y'all working out next year? Y'all working out next year? Let me know. Do y'all have health goals next year? Because Heather says, if it weren't so very awesome, it wouldn't be 2 hours. Thank you. Thank you so much. Are y'all working out next year? Because look, we have big destinies. Everyone who follows me and watches my videos, we have big destinies. Therefore, we have to be in shape. We have to be healthy to, take full control and to fully lay hold of everything God has for us. And we can't do that if we're not healthy, if we're not taking care of our bodies. And so I'm hoping that you all will be diligent about your health. I'm naturally athletic. I play basketball. I used to dance. You know what I mean? I'm not rock climb. I mountain climb when it's warm outside. I like lifting weights. I don't love cardio, but I'll do it when I need to do it. So I'm naturally athletic. Have always been athletic. But 2023 is going to require us to be in shape. And I hope all of y'all are planning to take your health seriously. And I ain't saying you got to be one of them people like January 1st, I'm in the gym and fall off by March 1st. I'd rather you take it slow and ease in and not fall off than try to go all the way in with the gym rats. Because I got a new gym membership today. So I was working out at Planet Fitness, but I got a new membership at a real gym. You know how I'm saying? It's not a commercial gym. It's only in Vegas. And I ain't gonna lie, I was kind of intimidated because them folks in there look like they in shape. And I'm in shape too. But they look like they real in shape. Like they eat, sleep, and breathe the gym. And I was like, this is different from me working out, with my old people in the morning, because I work out early in the morning. This is different from me working out with the senior citizens. Because you know what I'm saying? I go up in there and it's everybody muscles popping out. Can't even lift because they shirt too tight. So I did join a new gym. I did cancel my Planet Fitness membership today because I want a gym with a sauna. I want free sweat. I want to sit in there. I want to be snatched. I want to look good doing the kingdom work. I want to dominate. I want to do all the things. And I want y'all to do all the things. Layla's Corner says, the Let There Be challenge has definitely made me more confident in my voice. Yes. Come on. Stefania, I hope I'm saying your name correctly. You says, I'm working out next year, and that's why I started this year. Come on, let's go. Jimmy said, needs to be down 20 pounds. You got it. Let's make it happen. Miss McDonald, is it Fanice? I want to say your name correctly. Fanice says, how do you even start working out? I hate it, but I need to. Okay, so you can start. You can either go to the gym or you can do home workouts. So when the pandemic happened, I couldn't, no one can go to the gym. So I used to do pop sugar workouts in my front room. And they're like 30 to 40 minutes. They have these different workouts. Do not sleep on pop sugar on YouTube, okay? Now, if you're new to the gym, I would say start with cardio. I don't like cardio. It's boring to me. I think you lose more weight when you're doing weightlifting because you're struggling, right? Exerting a lot of energy. So when I first started out, I just did all the machines. So say for instance, on Monday, I would do cardio. Then on Tuesday, I would do all of the upper body machines. And this is Planet Fitness. So they're all like in certain roles. Then on Wednesday, I would do all the lower body machines until I built up confidence. And then I would start watching, those YouTube videos, not YouTube, like the Instagram little clips of people working out. I would follow people who worked out, see what they was doing and try to emulate it. That's what I was doing until I figured out a routine that was working for me. Crystal says, yes, weightlifting. This is new. Also continuing marathon. Ooh, you got it. Heather says, get ready to be ready to be ready. Yes. Leia's Corner says, my mom is a personal trainer, so this workout regimen is on point. Okay. Mom, personal trainer. Let's go. Jamisha says, I also want to get off of my acne meds so I can have much change on inside out. Oh yeah, I know full on about that because sometimes I be having cystic acne and I had to get it under control. So I totally get that. And some of it's, stress induced and things of that nature, what you eat. Dairy products, unfortunately, the mucus in the dairy does not do us great. So yeah, I feel that. We in the gym. We fine and loving the Lord in 2023, okay? Crystal says, yes, my weightlifting gym is intimidating, and that's what I like, challenge. Absolutely. So I ain't going to be up here. I'm probably going to be looking, I'm going to be looking away. I'm going to come back on here and tell y'all on Thursday how I was looking in the gym, because I started going to the gym tomorrow, to that gym tomorrow. I'm just going to out myself, just in case somebody live in Vegas and they watch me and come on and out me. I'm just going to out myself first. Yeah, don't work as no joke, especially hit. Yeah, no, I know. Well, y'all, I'm hungry and I have to go wash my hair, and it's going to be probably a 4-hour marathon with it because, you know, find and loving the Lord. Don't make it a hashtag, y'all. We got to be finding and loving the Lord. I mean, I think that God, we women, we're some of God's best creations, and he has made us so unique, and there's power in our femininity. And I just believe that so many of us sleep on ourselves, and I just don't think that's the will of the Lord for us. Everything in creation blossoms and shows itself. And I ain't talking about being naked, but I'm saying rises in its full glory. The sun rises in its full glory. The moon rises in its full glory. The grass, when it's its season, rises in its full glory, right? Everything in creation rises in its full glory, but somehow women have been oppressed, and tricked into not rising in their full glory, and I don't like it. That's what I'm gonna leave that there. I don't like it. Anyway, y'all, I am about to go eat and wash my hair. I am not gonna probably see y'all tomorrow. So happy New Year. Happy 2023. This is, as if you didn't see the video that I posted this morning about what God told me about 2023, this is about to be a Jordan year. You know what I'm saying? This is about to be a Jordan year. You're about to leap, and do go watch, Google the Jordan leap when he, finna do the slam dunk and he goes from the free throw line up. Go ahead and look at it, because that's what a lot of y'all about to do. Not a lot of y'all, a lot of us about to do. Heather said, I think you have given me my 2023 mantra, rise in my full glory. Absolutely, rise in your full glory. Nikki says, listen, I told my husband about you, and I was like, oh, my friend Bree said, he was like, who's Bree? Like, when did you get a new friend? When is this friend? I ain't met this friend. Look, if we ever meet y'all, if y'all ever see me in the streets, because I be in the streets, come say hey. Come say hey. No, my friend Bree, that's so funny. He's like, who is Bree and where we find her at? I feel you. Your husband got to stand guard. But yeah, y'all, I am about to hop on off here because I'm hungry and I need to wash my hair. Happy New Year. You will succeed in 2023. You will. You will. If you don't stop, you're going to succeed. Something has to bend. If you keep going, you are forced to be reckoned with. If you don't bend, something will bend around you to make and allow you to go through. So it's always a thing. Will you bend or will it bend? Will you bend or will it bend? You got to decide. I will not bend. I'm not going to bend. Okay? I'm not going to bend. Jimmy said, Happy New Year, y'all. Words can't describe how excited I am about 2023. I could cry. I'm so joyful about what's coming for us. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everybody. Nikki says, I hate cardio too. I love lifting. Just got back in the gym yesterday. If they weren't closed today and tomorrow, I would be in there today. I'm going tomorrow. And y'all, look, let me tell y'all a secret. My mama didn't bless me with a booty. I worked out for a booty. TMI, I know. But I am so against people doing these unnecessary surgeries because they're so dangerous. And so I said, okay, Bree, you got NASA tall, right? Yeah, I hope y'all know what that word means. Your mama didn't give you no booty. You're going to have to work out for one. And can y'all believe I grew one in the gym? So weights will be your friend. Resistance band will be your friend. If you trying to get fine and trying to grow your derriere, you can grow it. You can grow it. I ain't going to say it's going to be like a lot of people we see, but you can grow it. You can grow one that's perfect for your shape. Trust me, I did it because my mom ain't give me nothing. Okay, she gave me hips. She ain't give me no booty. And I'm like, bro, what? I can't be out here like Flat Stanley, like flat as a pancake. No shade to anybody who don't have no butt. This was just me. I didn't want that, right? So I started lifting weights and I start, Elizabeth said, share your tips. Look, I start getting in the gym. Yeah, them Bulgarian squats get you right every time. I hate Bulgarian squats. I also hate hip thrusts. Those things do work. I'm telling you, my mom gave me great hair. She did, y'all. She did give me great hair. She did. She gave me good hair. My dad gave me, I don't know, my dad gave me great teeth. But she ain't give me no butt, so I had to work for this thing, and I'm still working, which is why I'm trying to get back in the gym, because when you don't work out, you start to lose your muscle mass, and I notice my jeans getting a little loose, and I'm like, oh no, you didn't work too hard for this. So I'm gonna have my happy tail right back in the real gym, lifting weights with a resistance band, and we're gonna go and get it pumped back up. For me, in the name of Jesus. No, let me stop. I know God like, get off this live. Let me get off this live, y'all, because y'all got me out here cutting up. Happy New Year. I'll see y'all on Thursday with the how to study the Bible teaching. If you happen on, make sure you're signed up for my email list at briannawhiteside.com so you'll get the email on Monday. And I'll see y'all on Thursday as we talk about how I study the Bible. Bye, y'all.